recording, just to let you know. I'm recording so that the girls that are gone to tennis will be able to take a look at what we're looking at today. So, let's take a look at this first problem. The function f of x is graphed on this coordinate grid. What are the domain and range of the inverse of f? Okay, so we look at this, and the domain of this is from negative infinity to positive infinity. It's an exponential function, isn't it? And the range is from 0 to infinity. So for the inverse, it would just swap. For the inverse of f, the domain would be from 0 to infinity, and the range would be from negative infinity to positive infinity. The inverse of an exponential is a log, isn't it? So you guys had a leg up on the rest of them. You actually studied logs. They didn't. So for this one, it's going to be D. The domain is a set of all positive real numbers, and the range is a set of all real numbers. So that's what this is, an interval notation, but that's what it means in words. Any questions about number 5? Okay, let's take a look at number 6 and see how we did on number 6. What did you guys get? C. Any questions about number 6? No, we're good. All right, let's close out of there. Oh, I didn't mean to close that. Okay, the next thing I would like to look at is any questions about yesterday's assignment? I did not see any median line problems on the homework. Did you? No. Okay, so let's look at median line because it is something that could show up on your end of course test. So you guys all have the directions for how to find a median line on the back of the formula sheet. See if you can find those. One of your formula sheets had it on the back. I think I gave you 2 formula sheets.
No.
Let's see. How to find a median line.
I never got one of that in the back.
So that the x values are in order from least to greatest. Separate the coordinates into 3 equal groups. A total does not divide by 3, then you keep your data symmetric. Okay? So here we had 9 pieces of data, so it separates nicely. 3, 3, and 3. If we had, let's say, if we had 10 pieces of data, if you had 10 pieces of data, you would do 3, 4, and 3. Okay? If we had 11 pieces of data, we would do 4, 3, and 4. Okay, we're just going to keep our data symmetric. Any questions about how we would divide up the data? I really think if they give you a median line, they would give you the number of pieces of data that is divisible by 3. I don't think they try to make it extra tricky. Then what do? We find the median of the x values and the median of the y values for each of our groups. So here's our group 1. I listed our x values. I listed our y values. I did that for group 2. Listed the x, listed the y. Group 3, listed the x, listed the y. Now when you're doing this on an end of course test, you may not do that. You may go, okay, in this group, this is my middle x, and let's look at my y's. This is my middle y. So that's going to be the 0.274. That's probably what I would do on an end of course test. And then do it for here too. Okay, what's my middle x? 6. What's the middle y? Looks like 61. 661. Let's look at the last group. What's my middle x? 10. What's my middle y? 90. 1090 is that third one. Okay, any questions about that? what we do is we take the first one and the last one, and we find the equation through those 2 points. So we find the slope, use point slope, and find the equation. Any questions? Take that first one and the last one. Skip the middle one. Take the first and last and find the equation through that line. Then we plug in the x value for the middle group in to get our projected or predicted value. Projected value. Then what we do is, this is the only way I can remember the order of this. You guys will eventually take an AP test, right? Here, we do 1/3 the difference from the actual and the projected. Actual minus projected. Actual minus projected. The way I remember the order of that is I think AP test. Actual minus projected. And then when you find that difference, you add it back to the equation you had found, and that is your median line. Okay, any questions about how to find a median line? And there were any questions about the homework last night?
I had a question on page 45, number 5.
Okay, page 45, number 5. Let's all look at it together. Okay, what did the book say the answer to this question was?
C.
All right.
Which one?
Page 45, number 5. The book says C, and let's take a look at it. In an experiment, the height of a projectile is measured as it is launched from an initial height of 4.3 meters. Find a quadratic equation that models the data shown. What is the coefficient of the x squared term? All right, so looking at that data, do we see after 1 minute the height has gone down, after 2 minutes it's gone down? Ooh, this one goes the other way, doesn't it? After 3 minutes it's coming back up, and then up, and then up, and then up. Okay, so it looks like maybe this is going to be close to our vertex. Okay, and it looks like that point right there is the point to .73. All right, so if we assumed that was our vertex, that would be our equation, right? And we know that at time 0, we're at 4.33. When x is 0, and let's see if we can solve for a that way. Okay, so let's all do this together. I got A as approximately 0.4. Did you guys get the same thing? And that's how we could get the C. Okay, so you're pretty much going to have to kind of guess where you think the vertex is from the information you were given. Start writing your equation in vertex form. X minus the x value at the vertex plus the y value at the vertex. And then go back in and set in 0 and what it was at 0. And that's our best quadratic regression and get our A. But without the graphing calculators, we can't do a quadratic regression. Unless you have that snazzy one that the twins bought. It actually does. When you go into data and you hit statistics, it has choices for linear, quadratic. I think it has a power regression too. But anyway, that's the way I would suggest you solving.
What should you plug into the calculator?
What I solved this equation for A. So I subtracted this and divided by 4. So I got 1.6 right here equals 4A. So 0.4 equals A. That's how I did it. Okay. All right, any other questions about the homework? Okay, today we're going to do circles. Today and tomorrow circles. Monday, right triangle trig. And then we've covered it all. Then we should be ready. The rest is just you studying the parts that you know you are weak on. After that, that's your homework assignment. So you will take your end of course test on Wednesday. So Monday night and Tuesday night, you're just studying the areas that you think you may be weakest on. Okay, let's turn in our coach books to lesson 27. Okay, tomorrow, remind me, and I'm going to give you a median to practice with. Okay?
What page is this?
Lesson 27. 173? Okay, so we're starting circles. All right, let's talk about our definitions of a circle. This is the radius. Excuse me, this is the center. This is a radius. This is a diameter. This is a chord. This is a secant. That is a tangent. Okay, then we had angles with a circle. Huh. All right, if we have an angle in a circle that is formed with a vertex at the center, the measure of this angle is the same as the intercepted arc. This is called a central angle. Okay, if we had an angle whose vertex is on the circle,
This is 2 times.
the angle is half the intercepted arc, right? This is called an inscribed angle. If you have an angle whose vertex is outside the circle,
Would it be the outer one minus the middle one divided by 2?
yeah. Okay, I'm going to call this angle A, arc B, and arc C. what we would do is A is equal to half the difference.
I can't believe I even remember that. I don't even know.
Okay, so a special one of those would look like this. Where's circle? There it is. So a special one would be like this angle formed here. This angle. Do you see there's not an outside and an inside, there's just the outside? So this is just going to be half the intercepted arc. So this is half the intercepted arc.
That angle's half it.
You can still think of it in terms of this. Just this is your outside, and your inside is 0. So it's okay. The other, there's one more that doesn't have the vertex there. It's just made by chords. So let's look at it. We have intersecting chords. Why can I never find the circles? There they are. So a chord and a chord. Okay, on this one, it's half the sum.
Half the sum of AB.
Or you can think of it as if you doubled that angle, it's equal to A plus B. Either way. Okay, now all of this can be found on your neat little circle review sheet. Do all of you still have that? Good. Good. Okay. Yeah, I gave it to you last week. If we have a quadrilateral inscribed in a circle,
This one.
if we have a quadrilateral inscribed in a circle, so we have angle A, angle B, angle C, and angle D. Opposite angles are supplementary. A plus C equal 180, and B plus D equal 180.
Are you teaching this in Accelerated Math 1?
Yeah, you learned this at the end of the year after your end of course test last year is when you did the circle unit. So it might be a little foggy because May is hard for some students. Okay, if we look at this, I don't even memorize that. I know, and I'm going to do it with highlighter real quick so you can see. I'm going to deal with B and D. Angle D is half its intercepted arc. Does that make sense? That's the intercepted arc for angle D. Well, angle B is half of its intercepted arc. What happens if I put those two arcs together? What does it make? 360. What's half of 360? 180. So when you put them together, it better equal 180. That's why opposite angles are supplementary. Okay? Now, if two angles intercept the same arc, so if we have this angle here, an inscribed angle, and this angle over here, an inscribed angle. Because they intercept the same arc, because they both intercept this arc, then those angles have to be congruent, because they're both half the intercepted arc. So whenever they intercept the same arc, the angles are congruent. So what do we know about these angles right here? They're congruent. So what do we know about these triangles? They are similar. They are similar. So we can put their sides in proportion. Okay. I think I did it. I think I went over everything. So let's look on page 179 and let's try a couple of these. Let's do number 2. Three and 4. Let's do a little bit more. Let's just do 2 through 8. The reason I'm doing so many is because you haven't done this since last year.